Hey ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the channel. My name is KPZ. You're here on the home of the Slightly Above Average Ship Review. I am going to show you my first match in one of the campaign reward ships, the Japanese Tier 8 destroyer Minegumo. I'm going to talk a little bit about the ship, although this isn't going to be the official review. I just want to point out one thing. With our build, you can see we've got a detectability of 5.1 kilometers. I think for this video, I might be using Space Fishy as my commander. So 5.1 concealment. I just want to read to you a little bit of the design and construction notes from Wikipedia. It says the Asashio class destroyers were larger and more capable than the preceding Shiratsuyu class, as Japanese naval architects were no longer contained by the provisions of the London Naval Treaty. Here's the inflection point. These light cruiser-sized vessels. And we're going to stop talking about the history right now. Does this look like it's portrayed in the game as a light cruiser-sized vessel? I would say to you, no. Not just no, but no. Hell no. I mean, maybe if you said, well, Paolo Emilio is supposed to be a light cruiser in real life, so then it would have to be 5.5 kilometers. It's not any differently sized than any other Japanese ship at the tier. It's really not. So, the other thing that I really don't like about the Minegumo, and I hinted at this during Vaz's live stream when he talked about it, I don't like what they've done here. They gave it British smoke, and they gave it a torpedo reload booster, but at the same time, it also has the option for single tube launching. Please show me a realistic reason for a Japanese destroyer to have British destroyer characteristics. There isn't one. And that's why I really don't like this, because it's not realistic. Essentially, they're taking part of one ship's or one nation's ship traits and giving it to another nation to make you want to buy this if you opted for the battleship at the end of the campaign. And I don't think that's right. And to be honest, another point that I would like to mention, if this is an Asashio class destroyer, the Asashio is a tier 6 destroyer. What is this doing at tier 8? And I know what you're going to say, Defender of Wargaming. You're going to say, well, when they introduced the Asashio, they didn't have tier 8. Yeah, they didn't have tier 8. And you know how they can fix that? Move the Asashio to tier 8. Well, then people wouldn't buy the Minegumo. Of course they wouldn't, because they wouldn't need it, because they'd have the Asashio. But they gave it different stuff. They gave it British smoke. They gave it British tube-by-tube launchers. They'd probably buy it anyway. So I'm sorry, Wargaming. Whatever explanation you and your shills may come up with does not pass muster when it comes to the implementation of this ship, or why the Asashio is still at tier 6. Neither explanation will suffice. And I have said it many times, Wargaming should have and could have moved ships around. They could have corrected the U.S. battleship tech tree. They could have corrected some of the glut of tier 6 destroyers in American, moved maybe like the Sims down a tier and Fletcher up a tier. But they refused to do any of that, because doing that would be admitting they made a mistake. All right, we got an assisted base cap, and then I think the ship that was in there with us got killed. So I'm leaving. I left the area. All right, we're looking at Bravo. There is a Jean Bart. You know, I mean, you can give me single tube launchers. I'm going to use them. And so we will single tube launch at Jean Bart and save the other torpedo rack for later. I don't think there's a destroyer anywhere near me. But that being said, I'm being cautious. I believe the destroyer that was in or near the Charlie Cap went far to the outside, if I'm remembering this match correctly. So it is nowhere near me right now. By the way, I have played matches within the Minegumo with, I think, Azer Lane Yukikaze, not recommended. I wouldn't recommend Takeo Kurita. And I also used Gunzo. Gunzo might be one I play a couple more matches in to see if I can get you a distinctively different match. I mean, you're talking about Gunzo's super short torpedo reload with a torpedo reload booster with 2 charges. So that could be very entertaining. And I still haven't played with Raizo Tanaka, but let's be honest, it's a premium ship. If you have a premium commander, I would put him on the ship. All right, we get a kill of the Jean Bart. Another battleship moving in, the Wisconsin. Since we're in a smoke screen, I'm going to engage the Wisconsin. I actually have the range on these guns to do that. And they're displaying pretty good shell grouping. As you can see, the circle is directly behind me. And that lets you know where the enemy destroyer is. Probably like G2 or G3 if you're looking at the grid on the minimap. Of course, you know, signaling that to your teammates is going to be kind of tough when you don't use the microphone. All right, we're going to torp out that rack, that incoming red team ship, and then we're going to use this one. And Wisconsin is turning a lot, so I'm going to have to stagger these so I don't miss him. We are spotted. So the good thing about that illegal British smoke is that it comes right back on with about 10 seconds in between it expiring and the next charge being ready. So we get Torp Strike on Wisconsin. He appears to be flooding, and my teammate finishes him off. All right, so the other Wisconsin dodged my torps, and destroyer probably moving towards that blue team battleship that's about E3, E2 area. He knows that, you know, it's probably not there. It's probably in one square. He's aware he's getting torped at. But I have other stuff to do because I'm not a gunboat. And more importantly, my job as a destroyer is to spot enemy targets in a domination match. It's to capture cap circles. And it is not to go to the edge of the map to hunt down one red team destroyer. So yeah, I mean, although I am really disappointed that Wargaming is doing this by taking traits of one nation and glomming them on to another nation's ship for no reason other than to get you to buy it at the end of the campaign. I will say it makes this destroyer unique among Japanese destroyers and very flexible in terms of how you want to use your torpedoes. Certainly, I would say it's equally as dangerous as any other Japanese ship at the tier. Here you can see we're going to torp out on Wisconsin, and again, we have this short duration smoke screen available to help us out. And we're going to send all those torps, and then we're going to back up a little bit and start shooting our HE and try to catch them on fire. HE does about 2k damage. Again, I will do a review of this ship at some point. A couple torpedo strikes, and we got another kill there, kill number 2. We're going to move back into Charlie and flip that base cap. And they're all like, kill the destroyer. And I'm like, yeah, that sounds like a great idea. Why don't you go ahead and do that? I got plenty of health, but I'm a Japanese destroyer. I don't do gunfights. You should know that. There are a couple Japanese destroyers that do gunfights. Azerlane, Yukikaze, and Akizuki. This is not one of them. All right. So we move back into the Charlie cap. We're going to flip that. As you can see, we have a 240 point lead on points. So we are well ahead, and that's only going to get worse. We're about to flip alpha for the red team. They have 3 ships remaining. One is that destroyer that's at the very back of the board. The other 2 ships appear to be an alpha, preventing that from being capped out. So we're going to be able to cap Charlie here and flip that back around relatively unmolested. And then we're going to start transversing the map because, again, going to kill that destroyer who's right in front of a cruiser right now would be a total waste of time. He's going to be dead before I get there. Alpha Cap gets reset because of that destroyer Minegumo, and then he gets taken out by the St. Louis. We get our solo base cap, and we will begin transversing the map. So I'm still on the edge if I'm going to buy the other ship or not. I have the dubs for it. I don't play this game enough to justify that expense anymore, I don't think. And it was not a draw for me at the very beginning. Oh boy, my alarm went off because I got to play some of the game right now. That'll be interesting. So we're just going to tootle across the map here. I am going to do a review, a proper review of Minegumo at a later date. And right now I have to, the internet will cooperate. I've got to get back in here, and hopefully it'll only take a second for me to, oh God, it didn't. What can I do to help myself? How about that? It's not working out, folks. All right, there we go. Beautiful. All right. That other game, by the way, is a game you should never play. It's called Hero Wars Dominion. Don't play that. Trust me. Also, sorry this video was delayed. My vehicle was damaged in a hit-and-run accident this morning. So, yesterday, I mean, whenever you see this. All right, that's the end of the match. All right, here we are in the victory screen. 69,102 total damage. 1 solo base cap, 1 assisted base cap, 5 torpedo strikes, 2 kills, 1 assisted kill, 4 cap defendant flags. We ended up with 277,452 silver, 6,500 ship XP, 6,955 commander XP in the Minegumo, the Space Fishy. Anyway, we finished 4th on our team. I have no idea how that happened. Anyway, hope you enjoyed this quick look at the Minegumo. Don't forget to hit that thumbs up button. I will try to have a video of Minegumo with a different commander, maybe this commander, at some later date. Thanks for watching.